The receptionist glanced at the tired single dad sitting quietly in the waiting area for the 5th hour and whispered to security that he had probably come to beg for a job. Managers walked past him without making eye contact. Some employees laughed, others complained that he was making the elegant lobby look unprofessional. They handed coffee to wealthy clients, welcomed famous investors with bright smiles, and repeatedly told the man in the worn jacket to keep waiting. None of them knew that every light in the building, every desk, every office, and every paycheck existed because of the company he had built with his own hands. They made the single dad wait like a complete stranger, never knowing he owned the company. Before we continue, if you believe kindness should never depend on someone's appearance, and that everyone deserves respect and a second chance, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe to Soul Tales for more emotional stories that remind us what truly matters. Ethan Brooks had never cared much about expensive suits or luxury watches. Years earlier, he had started the technology company from a tiny rented garage with nothing but an old laptop, impossible dreams, and endless determination. Every dollar he earned went back into growing the business. As the company expanded into a global success, investors encouraged him to become the public face of the corporation, but Ethan refused. He believed the company should be known for its products, not for one man's image. Very few employees had ever seen him, and after appointing a professional executive team to handle daily operations, he quietly stepped away from public attention. Most new workers had absolutely no idea what the founder even looked like. While newspapers occasionally mentioned his name, they almost never published recent photographs. Ethan preferred spending time with the only person who truly mattered to him, his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Life had not been kind to Ethan outside of business. His beloved wife had passed away after a long illness, leaving him to raise Lily alone. The little girl became his reason to wake up every morning. Despite his incredible wealth, Ethan wanted his daughter to grow up understanding humility, gratitude, and kindness. She attended a normal school, wore simple clothes, and believed happiness came from love rather than money. Ethan often reminded her that the richest people were not those with the biggest houses but those with the biggest hearts. Those lessons became the foundation of their lives. Months earlier, Ethan had started receiving anonymous reports describing a disturbing change inside his company. Employees complained about arrogant managers, unfair promotions, disrespect towards support staff, and a culture where people judged others by appearance instead of character. Instead of immediately firing executives based on rumors, Ethan decided to discover the truth himself. He planned an unannounced visit without informing anyone except the chairman of the board, who agreed to remain completely silent until Ethan finished observing the company with his own eyes. On the morning of the visit, Ethan dropped Lily at school before driving an old pickup truck he had kept for sentimental reasons. He wore faded jeans, comfortable boots, and a simple brown jacket. Carrying only a small notebook, he entered the magnificent headquarters that his vision had created years earlier. The building stood as a symbol of innovation and success, but the atmosphere inside immediately felt unfamiliar. The smiles seemed forced. The warmth he remembered had disappeared. The receptionist barely looked at him before asking whether he had an appointment. Ethan politely explained that he was there for an important meeting with company leadership. Without checking carefully, she assumed he was another desperate applicant and pointed him toward a corner of the waiting area. Every time Ethan calmly reminded her that his meeting was extremely important, she responded that executives were too busy for unexpected visitors. Hours passed while wealthy guests and elegantly dressed consultants were welcomed ahead of him. Security guards watched him suspiciously as if he did not belong in the very building he had imagined years before. As Ethan waited, he quietly observed everything around him. He noticed a cleaning lady struggling to push a heavy supply cart, while several managers ignored her completely. He watched an elderly delivery driver apologize repeatedly because nobody would help him unload expensive equipment. A young intern accidentally spilled coffee and was publicly humiliated by her supervisor until tears filled her eyes. Ethan wrote every detail inside his notebook. None of these incidents involved financial losses, Yet they revealed something far more dangerous, a culture that had forgotten respect. Meanwhile, Lily's school unexpectedly closed early because of a water main break. Ethan arranged for her to be brought safely to company headquarters while he continued waiting. When the little girl entered the lobby carrying her colorful backpack, she immediately hugged her father with a bright smile that seemed to light up the room. Some employees smiled at the touching moment, but others frowned, believing children had no place inside such an important corporate building. One impatient executive even suggested that security escort them both outside because clients were arriving soon. Ethan simply thanked Lily for being patient, and quietly continued waiting beside her. Lily noticed the tired cleaning lady sitting alone during her short lunch break. Without hesitation, she walked over and offered half of the sandwich she had packed that morning. The woman smiled with grateful eyes after admitting she had skipped breakfast to save money for her grandson's medicine. Ethan watched proudly as his daughter practiced the kindness he had spent years teaching her. That single innocent act created more humanity inside the lobby than all the polished speeches displayed on the company's walls. Late that afternoon, the chairman of the board finally arrived. The moment he entered the building, his face turned pale after seeing Ethan still sitting in the waiting area. He rushed toward him with visible shock and respectfully greeted the founder in front of everyone. Silence instantly spread across the lobby. Receptionists froze. Managers stared in disbelief. Security guards slowly lowered their heads. Within seconds, confused whispers echoed throughout the building as employees realized the exhausted single dad they had ignored all day was the man who owned the entire company. The executives hurried downstairs with forced smiles, desperate apologies, and nervous explanations. They blamed misunderstandings, busy schedules, and communication errors, but Ethan calmly stood without showing anger. His disappointment carried far more weight than shouting ever could. He explained that he had not come to inspect profits or review financial reports. He had come to measure something much more valuable, the character of the people trusted to lead his company. Numbers could build skyscrapers, but only kindness could build a lasting legacy. Instead of delivering immediate punishment, Ethan gathered every employee inside the largest conference hall. He spoke honestly about the difficult years when he had worked endless nights while caring for Lily after losing his wife. He reminded everyone that every customer, applicant, janitor, courier, and visitor carried invisible struggles no expensive suit could reveal. Success without compassion was simply another form of failure. Respect should never be reserved for people with titles or wealth because true leadership begins with how someone treats those who can offer nothing in return. Several employees quietly cried while listening. The receptionist admitted she had judged Ethan entirely by his appearance. The executive who had wanted Lily removed confessed he had forgotten why he entered leadership in the first place. The cleaning lady received a standing ovation after Ethan publicly thanked her for years of loyal service. The young intern who had been humiliated earlier that day was invited onto the stage, where Ethan announced a mentorship program designed to encourage future leaders instead of breaking their confidence. Promotions would no longer depend only on performance but also on integrity, empathy, and respect. In the following months, the company changed in remarkable ways. Managers began spending time with frontline workers to understand their challenges. Employee satisfaction reached record levels. Customer loyalty increased because kindness naturally spread beyond the office walls. New training programs focused on emotional intelligence alongside professional excellence. Ethan remained actively involved, often visiting departments without announcing himself. This time, however, every visitor, whether wealthy or poor, received the same warm welcome because employees finally understood that dignity has no dress code. Lily continued inspiring everyone in small but unforgettable ways. She became known for leaving handwritten notes of encouragement for receptionists, janitors, and cafeteria workers. Those simple acts reminded the entire company that greatness rarely arrives through grand gestures. More often, it appears through ordinary moments of compassion shared with ordinary people. Before we reach the ending, we'd love to hear from you. Please comment with this phrase: "Kindness sees what the eyes cannot." Let us know if you believe respect should never depend on someone's appearance or status. Years later, employees would still tell new hires about the unforgettable day the company's owner quietly waited for hours without revealing his identity. It became more than a story about a billionaire founder. It became a lesson that transformed an entire organization. People stopped remembering how long Ethan waited and started remembering why he waited. He wanted to know whether the company he had created still reflected the values that built it from nothing. As Ethan and Lily walked out of the headquarters hand in hand that evening, the setting sun reflected across the glass building behind them. Ethan knew businesses could rise and fall, fortunes could be gained and lost, but the true measure of success would always be the way people treated one another when they believed nobody important was watching. Ironically, everyone thought they were ignoring a stranger, yet the person they overlooked was the one who had given them every opportunity they enjoyed. And perhaps the greatest wealth Ethan ever possessed was not the company itself, but the daughter who proved every single day that kindness is the most valuable inheritance a parent can leave behind. If this story touched your heart, reminded you to look beyond appearances, or inspired you to treat every person with greater kindness, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Soul Tales. Your support allows more uplifting stories like this to reach people who may need hope today. Remember, the greatest legacy we leave behind is not our success, but the kindness we choose to show every single day.